AEW Collision this week started with a dinosaur. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He was with Christian Cage, who was yelling at Darby Allin during these opening promo segments, because of course they're going to have a match later. And because Dalton Castle was also on this show, he did one too. And as ever, I just shouted at my television screen, this is the most 1980s thing ever. Long may it continue. Also, hello my friends, and there's only one way to start this video. Welcome to All In Week. Don't know why I'm doing this weird karate pose, probably because of Dalton Castle, but I am so damn pumped, because in 6 days, AEW is coming to London town, and they've sold over 80,000 tickets at Wembley Stadium. So I'm very excited about seeing you all there. Let's have some fun, but for now, let's up those downs. I swear, I felt like I'd taken drugs at the start of this episode of Collision, because it was Samoa Joe versus the Golden Vampire. What? Old Vamps also had the worst ring gear you've ever seen, and therefore it was the best. I swear he had some teeth on the top half, although almost instantly, he started murking Samoa Joe. So I was freaking out. I was like, is a vampire going to beat Samoa Joe? I mean, how the hell am I ever going to be able to handle that? Now, in many ways, you could argue this may have been a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to Edge, who had his big hoo-ha on SmackDown, because, of course, it was very conquistadorish, and, of course, this guy got Joe up, he hit the JTS, he whipped off his mask, and it was CM Punk. Now, look, it was perfectly obvious it was CM Punk, but that was half the fun you were meant to know. And of course, it also adds up because last week Joe tried to kill CM Punk, so he got a microphone and he said, all in Wembley, you're on, bitch. Don't forget, if you say bitch in the world of professional wrestling, it means you are Super Serious 9000. It also means that we are getting Punk Joe number 72, whatever the hell it is, at Wembley. And if you had told me that when I was but a fetus watching their trilogy in Ring of Honor, I wouldn't have believed you and I would have slapped you around the face. So this is another reason why I'm so damn hyped up. I am just going to enjoy it for what it is. That's the whole point of wrestling. This only went about 32 seconds as well, so we got shib done and we just moved on. I ain't got no problem with that. Giving it up. We also got a video for the original All In order to promote the 2023 one, and again, yes, it has now sold more tickets than any other wrestling show in history. Now, because there are some wrestling crazies out there, they're annoyed by this, but everybody else celebrate it. Wrestling is booming. When here came Jay White. Yes, he was here with his Bullet Club Gold friends, and yep, he was decking off Dalton Castle, who came out with his boys, and as ever, who maximizes their minutes on TV more than him? He was just shouting in the camera, and he too was all like, oh man, I'm gonna do some karate, and he made some very choice words about heads and asses, but you know, it was very funny. Somebody pushed him to the moon. His boys were helping him out as well, because every time White threw him out of the ring, they just threw Castle back in there, and that must have wound Dalton up, because all of a sudden, he was just taking Jay White down. And I was like, yeah, you see, he is using his karate like an MMA fight. I mean, it wasn't. If you've never watched Ups and Downs before, everything I say is basically hyperbole. Sadly, he wanted to keep doing these running knees, so eventually Jay just got out of the way and he tumbled to the outside. And this is when the Bullet Club Gold were like, haha, we're gonna get you. But the boys were like, no, you're not gonna get him. And they kind of got into it. I mean, it was basically chaos, so nobody told Dr. Robotnik. But Castle used it to his advantage, because he just went suplex crazy, and he did a massive German one. He wanted to hit the bangerang too, but once again, White kind of low bridged the ropes, meaning Dalton went to the outside, which was a very strange plan, because Jay then just got him, threw him back in the ring. Like, man, what a waste of time. That's like being at your house and Google mapping directions to your own house. It didn't actually work for him at all, though, because Dalton Castle then used the ring apron to hit a Hurricane Rana. It's like, man, he's doing it again. He's making his case. The boys then saw the Guns trying to be assholes, and the whole time they were playing with that Jay White cutout, which really makes me laugh. So they hit them with dives, but this basically served as a distraction. Jay White was like, ha ha. He hit the Blade Runner, he got the 1, 2, 3, and look, that was always going to happen. Jay White is on a tear right now, but we have to use this to give a platform for Dalton Castle. That's right, I've said that 3 times. Sometimes we need to manifest things into existence. Tony Schiavone must have agreed too, because he ran to the ring to interview these guys, although they totally mugged him off. They also said things like, Kenny, you think you're going to take us on at the pay-per-view? If I were you, I would stay in the hospital. Do they genuinely expect Kenny to be told, oh, by the way, you can go home, Mr. Omega? He's like, no, man, please keep me in. I kind of want to stay away from the madness. White was also mad that the Elite think they were the best part of Bullet Club because they're not, so come all in. These 3 are gonna take him out for good. Juice Robinson then went crazy, as he often does, and was all like, man, we took out Omega in 2 minutes. And because they now are friends with Austin and Colton, why don't we do another match right now? I was like, holy crap, man, this thing is out of control. This is also because we are going to be doing them versus the Elite come Dynamite. So look, for now, I'm just going to give it an up, but yes, there's more. Because given that it was an impromptu tune-up match, we didn't know who their opponents were going to be when, for the second week in a row, out came the Iron Savages. But this time, they needed all three guys to be involved, so Jack Jameson also joined in. And these dudes, they're like Dalton Castle. They were just shouting things the entire time. They are genuinely funny. The Savages used their power to wreck these guys to begin with too, until Juice did a cannonball in the corner, when all of the Bullet Club got in the ring and they started posing like they were elite. Honestly, don't you tell me goofy wrestling can't be mixed in with the serious wrestling it can. Sadly for them, Boulder then got in the ring and was hitting everybody with the end of days, which obviously was not good. And even when Robinson was like, right, I'm gonna jump at this guy, he just caught him out of midair. It was like, he's so damn strong. He also just threw them into the guns to prove that when the tag klaxon went off, this when Austin and Colton were like, we can use this. And they tried to give him the 310 to humor, but of course it didn't work, he's too damn big. Fair play to them though, because they did adjust on the fly. They hit double famouses as a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to Daddy Ass when Robinson came in with his face buster and he got the 1, 2, 3. But this was the second time on the show that we did have a group or a couple of people that deserved to have more TV time. So I'm very excited about this. Also, the Bullet Club Gold are just so good right now. This is another reason Collision is a very smart show. We are able to build new people. Giving it an up. We then had another video after this, and I'm just going to be honest with you. If you were a fan of Billy Gunn's boots, you were having a terrible night. Because it was the House of Black, and they basically killed him. Now this was so damn good because it had all the spooky music and it was shot like it was some kind of movie. And the whole time Malachi Black was like, listen Billy Gunn, you should stay retired. Sure, you've had an amazing career, but if you get in our business, I promise, much like your footwear, we're just gonna throw you away. So this trios match is obviously gonna go down. I don't know whether it's gonna be all in or all out, but it will be for the championships, I presume. Or maybe it will be for Billy Gunn's boots. Who knows? We then went right into another of these two, and it was kind of shot the same way, but it was with Jose the assistant who had a phone call, and it was Roosh. And Roosh basically said, oh, hi Jose, would you go and commit a crime for me, please? That would be great. Because he was super duper mad that Dralistico and Preston Vance are just partying the night away down in Mexico. So a van pulled up, a bunch of masked men, threw them into the damn thing, and I tell you, hopefully Samoa Joe was watching this, because we may have a new lead. So I was absolutely in tears, and of course, bring down the crime counter. It goes up by 1. This is the second kidnapping we've had on AEW TV, because Sting kidnapped Prince Nana on Dynamite. But once again, I like this a lot, and it made me go, oh wow, maybe we're going to do something brand new with a brand new team? What we should be doing. It was also totally bonkers, as was the House of Black one in one sense, so I am going to push them together, and I'm just going to give them an up. Some people don't like these overproduced videos. I am not one of those people. When Ricky Starks was here, and he had information. Because he had figured out that what Tony Schiavone said last week was absolute gibberish, and his suspension is actually a lot shorter than everybody realized, meaning when we get to Chicago and All Out, he'll be good to have a match. I presume against CM Punk. He too is obsessed with chaos when all of a sudden Big Bill walked into the frame. I was like, are you kidding me? We're teaming up Ricky Starks with Big Bill, and I searched my feelings like some kind of a Jedi, and I was like, man, that is the greatest decision to ever happen on this planet. Starks then played his own video, which again was the most over-the-top thing ever, but it tied directly into this new character that he's playing. And look, I liked Ricky Starks as a good guy. I thought it worked, but he is so much better as a bad guy. Like, I watched this, I was like, man, you could be my new favorite wrestler. I also liked it because it kind of circumvented my expectations, because I was sat there going, what the hell was the deal with this manager license thing? Why did he even say that? When it turned out that the biggest of bills was going to have a match, and of course, who was his second? It was Ricky Starks. He was also facing Derek Neal, and of course that guy got absolutely murdered as Stark was in the corner, and afterwards, Bill held him down while we got the same belt that we'd whipped Ricky Steamboat with, and we did it again. Like, man, he really likes that belt. In case you are interested, it did end after a big old choke slam too, and these two together, even though I'm very sad that Brian Cage and Big Bill aren't together anymore, which means it is the death of Jacked Inked, but it just works. And if we do this right, I tell you, you could make Ricky the world champion and have Bill as the guy that kind of protects him. My word, that is a phenomenal idea. Getting it up. And then the videos kept on coming, but I thought this one ruled. Because as we know, AR Fox has a wrestling school, so when he was doing basically an indie show with his students, who turned up but Darby Allin and Sting? Can you imagine if you just went to a random show down the road and Sting arrived? You'd probably fall onto the floor. It was basically the Stinger being in a garage, and of course Darby Allin was all like, oh man, even though we thumped you, we didn't want to beat you up too badly, because when we get to London, we're doing a coffin match, and I want to take you and put it in a casket. I was like, man, you get the strangest sentences in wrestling. You also confirmed that come Dynamite, it is going to be Swerve and Fox taking on Nick Wayne and Darby Allin. And look, this does make sense because Nick Wayne deserves some sort of revenge. He was basically attempted murdered. But on the other, I was like, that's a very similar matchup to one we're getting a few days later. Who the flub cares? And then the stories continued. Great. Because after the big schmoz last week, it was Willow Nightingale versus Monte. And look, while I think both are very good, as we keep on talking about here on Ups and Downs, this Willow has something special, and she'll be the third person that I throw into you gotta push her to the moon category. Because you do. It's just because she's got this mega babyface thing down and people want to root for her. But Monte, she's a good heel as well, especially because she has most definitely teamed up with Mercedes Martinez. As soon as Nightingale got going, who was here? I mean, it was Mercedes Martinez. If you didn't pick up on that, you ain't listening. Monte also hit a chop block, because that's what you do when you're taking on somebody bigger than you. But then I think somebody went, hey, Nightingale, we're back from the commercial, because all of a sudden she got up, she welded with a clothesline, and she hit that big old spine buster for a 1-2. They were then tussling on the top, because people love doing that in 2023, and they were going for the bomb of power, when Mercedes just pulled her buddy out of the ring. And apparently this was totally fine. Chris Statlander must have been watching, so she ran down and she suplexed Mercedes right onto the rampway, which looked horrible. And as Monte was watching this, all of a sudden Willow was here, and she gave her this massive pounce on the outside. I mean, I was laughing. It was so damn intense. She then threw her back in the ring. She hit the babe with the power bomb. She got the 1-2-3, and again, she just elates with joy. That's not a saying, but she does when she does get the win, and it makes you want to see her get the win again. So I do like these four together, and if we can just let it grow and develop, I think it will go somewhere very fun. Giving it an up. When we got another video, so you can tell the pay-per-view is coming. Because it was everything to do with FTR and the Young Bucks, and they are going to have a head-to-head on Dynamite, and we did push this like whoever does win can call themselves the best tag team ever. I like that a lot. Gives it mega stakes. I absolutely think they could achieve this too, because they're going to go into that thing so damn driven. And yes, we have to talk about the Cashwheeler situation. Although, surprise, surprise, all I'm going to say is we don't know. We don't know the facts, we don't know the information. It's just a bunch of people on Twitter or X making stuff up half the time. So I am going to sit here and wait. Never forget, we are talking about real human beings here with real lives and real feelings. We don't have to be a speculation, Steve. When Toni Storm decided to try and claim the best new character in wrestling. I still have no idea where this gimmick came from, but her and Lexi Nair have this wonderful chemistry, because Toni is acting like some kind of celebrity or actress that is down on her luck, and when Lexi started asking her questions, Storm was like, well, I've never seen you before in my life. She literally threw a shoe at her last week. We also learned that it's going to be her and Saraya taking on Britt Baker and Shida next week, because of course, that's what we always do. You're going to have a four-way, so make sure you do the tag. I mean, that's basically WWE 101. Tony's big point was, though, that people need to remember that the Outcasts are a friend and they are a unit, and also they're very sorry, Miss Jackson, but come London, she's walking away with the title. It's just the way she said all of this, though, and the fact she's basically having a meltdown in front of our eyes, while being like, no, I'm totally fine. She also had proper, like, 1960 actress hair here, so we need to carry this on. Once again, where it came from, I have no idea, but this is it. Toni Storm has found the personality that she needed, though she didn't have one before. This one's just much funnier, to the point, giving it an up. When we had another squash match. Now this was good, but sometimes you really just need to have one a show. Because it was Powerhouse Hobbs taking on Kevin Koo, which is kind of interesting, because old Kev has done everything in indie wrestling, but of course, he got smashed here, big old spine buster, 1-2-3. And then because Hobbs is mad at Miro, he looked on the accolade when the Redeemer appeared on the big screen. Miro also revealed that he used to follow a book, but now he walks alone. So I was like, man, this is amazing. Not only are you Google Maps, you're also Batista. Redemption is coming to William, though, when they get to All Out, because they're going to have a match, especially because when Miro is done, he is going to piss on his cold, dead body. That's what he said. So bring it back down, the crime counter, you are not allowed to throw that jibes at somebody. And look, I am going to give this an up because I'm so damn excited about Powerhouse Hobbs versus Miro. It is the definitive big men slapping man meat match if we're never going to get Goldberg versus Big E. Fine, I'm a little bit sad we're not doing it all in, but I'll take what I can get. However, I am going to give it a down because, look, I love the squash match. I don't think wrestling in 2023 takes advantage of it enough, but we saw Big Bill do one, and then we saw Powerhouse Hobbs do one, and it's the law of diminishing returns. When you see something more than once, it just doesn't hit as hard as it probably should. But that's like a nothing down. That's me being a wrestling nerd. Boop, I kick it over there. I am still mega pumped for this. This is when we got our usual, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what's happening on Collision next week. And we're having some kind of 8-man all-star tag team match, but nobody told us who was in it. I am super intrigued though, because this is going down 24 hours before All In. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see. When we did get our main event, and I'm just going to tell you, it was the best damn thing on the show, Christian Cage, the fake TNT champion, taking on Darby Allin. And the best part about all of this is I went all geek at the start. I'm like, man, why the hell are we doing Christian versus Darby when Christian is the TNT champion? I was like, wait, he's not. Luchasaurus is, which has just proved this story's working great. Darby was selling his ass off throughout all of this, including this one bump into Tina the Turnbuckle. And at that stage, I was like, right, who is a better seller right now than Darby? And I went through my wrestling portfolio, and I don't think that person exists. Christian then also hurled Darby into Barry Barricade, which looked like murder, but also, bring it down, the Justice for Barry counter rolls up to 97. So we have 3 more to go, and we do have to do Barry's funeral. Say goodbye forever. Cage then ruined Allen's arm like he needed the fingerprints to try and break into some kind of secret base. But when he went for the spear, Allen was like, nope, he hit the code red, and he got a 1-2 kick out. The absolute best part was Allen was then using Christian's turtleneck to choke him, which again is an amazing wrestling sentence. But when he went to the top rope, and it looked like he was going to finish him off, instead, he looked at Luchasaurus, and he hit him instead. I was like, you probably shouldn't have done that, Darbs. He is a dinosaur, he may eat you. Luchasaurus then pulled his master out the way, which of course meant Darby Allin crashed and burned again. I was like, oh man, he's definitely dead. And at this point, the referee finally went, well, we probably shouldn't have a Tyrannosaurus Rex at ringside. Maybe you should leave. And I was like, yeah, ref, what took you so long? It was basically a distraction though, because Cage got the TNT Championship and he slammed Darby right in the head for an excellent false finish. I'll be completely honest with you, I totally bought it. And this Christian Cage man, he is almost 50 and he is so flipping good. Cage then got the spear and once again Darby sold that like death, but it was another 1-2 kick out when he went for the unpretty or the kill switch, whatever we're going to call it, and Allin reversed it into the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment and he got the 3 with the surprise roll up. I was like, good for you, Darby. Although wrestling as a whole is totally obsessed with this move again. Bring it down, roll up counter, +1. Now obviously we did need to do this because it is Luchasaurus versus Darby Allin at All Out for the TNT Championship, and I'd actually have Darby win that. And right after this, even though Tony Schiavone was going to have a word with everybody, Christian and Luchasaurus were back, and they absolutely roasted this dude. Luchasaurus especially could tell was just using the rage of all his fallen brethren. And when Christian did a pin on Darby, they made Tony Schiavone do the 1-2-3, which really made me chuckle. Although, of course, we should have let Luchasaurus do that. I've been watching wrestling for like 25 years. I've never seen a dinosaur referee. I wanted it. I'm pretty sure at the end of this too, we just announced Christian as the TNT champion. So this storyline is great. This main event rocked. It was an excellent ending to Collision. And I think if it does end with Darby Allin winning that belt back, well, it will be a good bit of business. I am giving it an up. Which brought us to the end of AEW Collision, and once again, I just think it's a good show, so I am going to give it an up. And for all the people that message me going, yeah, but Simon, the ratings. I don't care about the ratings, not in a bad way. I hope that all wrestling does amazing in the ratings, but ultimately, as long as you give me an entertaining wrestling show, I'll give you a couple of thumbs. Now, of course, please do leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought about AEW Collision. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click this video right here, whatever the hell it is. It's ups and downs for smacking down. Make sure you cross those streams. Go to whatculture.com, follow us on social media, and if you are going to All In, get excited now. It's an experience, it's a moment, and we should embrace it as much as possible. I will see you there. Take care. Goodbye.